All right, Vassos, a very special guest. Okay, you can still smell the prize-winning odour from a night of revelry and quite right celebration. Who might this be, please, Vassos?
Our next guest guarantees to make your brain hurt, but in a good way, and you'll thank him for it. He is the computer programmer turned #1 Sunday Times best-selling author. His latest book, Murdle, Even More Killer Puzzles, is out now. So please welcome the puzzler with all the heaty you just can't beaty. It's GT Karber!
GT Karber! Better known to his friends as Greg. May we call you Greg, please?
Yeah, you can call me Greg, of course.
Welcome to the show.
Glad to be here.
What a week it's been. Take us through it. So you had a day off at the weekend. What did you do with your day off?
We went and saw The Play That Goes Wrong.
Excellent.
It was a great send-up of murder mysteries,
Yeah.
which is what the book is as well, so it felt like it was on brand.
Yeah.
I only like to do things on brand on my days off.
Did somebody organise that for you because they thought you might like it, or did you want to go to it? Or
Yeah, but that someone was me, yeah. I thought maybe I did like it.
Yes.
This is just an endorsement for plays I like now.
Yeah, it's very clever though, isn't it? It's
Yeah,
very clever.
yeah.
You know, because if it went right, that would be wrong. So it has to go wrong for it to be right.
Yeah, the show went really horrible on ours. Everything went right.
Yeah, woohoo! Monday was the big prize day. What happened then?
Well, it was unbelievable. We went to the British Book Awards, and everybody was so glam and sophisticated, and then they gave me the award. I don't know. It seems like a mistake, but I didn't demand a recount or anything. I'm gonna stand by the results.
Did you know you'd won? Was it one of those ones?
No.
Honestly?
I kept thinking that it would be one of those ones, and I kept trying to corner people and be like, no, but do you know? And no, nobody knew.
All right. Have other awards been garnered thus far?
Well, we were I don't know if this is necessarily the same kind of award, but we were the Waterstones Gift of the Year in December, and I thought that was the greatest thing, and then to win not only Book of the Year in our category, but then overall, which I didn't even in a million years I couldn't have imagined.
And we're on the third Murdle book now. So which book was responsible for the prize?
The first one was responsible, yeah.
Okay, so there's been another one, and now there's a third. Even more killer puzzles. Murdle, 100 cunningly clever murder mystery logic puzzles by GT Karber, the guy sitting in front of us now. Now, I know there are literally millions of fans of your books around the world. I was reading your book last night. I was reading about you last night, and I just wrote. He said, I just want to ask you the three questions in one here. For those who don't know, what do you do? How do you do what you do? And how come this all happened in the first place? Over to you, Greg.
Whoa, okay. So what do I do generally now?
Yes.
What I do is make Murdle books.
Right.
That has become, the full-time occupation that I have. Beforehand, I spent a lot more time in coffee shops, kind of, writing and reading. But now I'm a pretty much full-time Murdler. And I don't see there being an escape soon. I mean, I love it, but, if I win the Book of the Year, it's like I got to keep making Murdles. I'm not going to... I'm not going to retire and, be one of those people who just abandons it.
Yeah.
I don't want to be typecast as the Murdle Man. I'm the Murdle Man forever now.
Yeah, so Michael Jordan throws a basket at school when he's 9. It's really good. He says, that's done. I'm done with the old basketball.
Right.
Same thing.
That won't be me, yeah. No, and I can't remember what the third question was.
Okay, well,
really
there's one in the
me.
middle. Okay, so the Murdle books. They've been described as a hybrid of son, daughter, heir of Wordle, Sudoku. Is it Sudoku? Sudoku. I can never say it properly, can I? I've never been able to say that word properly. I just fear that word.
Yes, Sudoku.
And Cluedo. Is that fair?
I think that's a reasonable assessment.
Is that where it came from in your head, or is that a reverse engineering of the description?
It's a little bit of that, but I don't really know where it came from in my head. I have done these sort of logic puzzles. I think when I was a kid, I had some sort of, back in the back of the brain.
Yeah, ability and allure.
Right.
So you were drawn towards what you felt like you could do.
Sure. But the old logic puzzles were always like, the man with the red hat drives a blue car, and and also there's a famous one from the 50s where you have to figure out what brand of cigarettes all the people have, which is a real, changing of the times. The children's puzzles back in the 50s involved cigarette brands. So we've modernized it and added murder.
Yeah, we've lost the cigarettes and we've gained the murderers via Murdle.
Safer.
So tell us about the Hollywood. What was your club called? The Hollywood Mystery Society, was it?
Right. Yeah, I had an organization in Los Angeles, and we've performed tons of immersive murder mystery experiences all across LA.
Okay, so let's go back a bit before that. So how did that happen? Give us 5 years before that, the flavour of your life then.
Oh, well, I mean, this is really in depth here. It was, I don't know, we would do various shows in various places. We sort of built an ensemble of actors who were kind of down to do wild mystery experiences. And I always wanted it to be something that's fun, that everybody can have a great time in. You know, you mentioned that the Murdle puzzles will make your brains hurt. And I was like, I don't really want to hurt anybody's brains. I kind of want people to have like a leisurely fun time.
Yeah.
You know,
but
maybe it's
within
something...
that stress, there is growth.
Right.
Yeah, it's the brain gym, isn't it?
Well, okay, you know, you're right. Now, obviously, the puzzles get harder at the end, and if people really want to push themselves, really want to challenge.
There's the three magnifying glass challenges, which are probably.
Oh, hang on. Can we? No, we need to reverse it. Let's just back the truck up a little bit. So we're still in Los Angeles. There's you and your friends on stage. There are murder mysteries going on, and then there are rules to. You say there are. Pretty much set rules to murder mysteries. Or if you're 5, you come up with, you have 5 of them, do you?
I have no idea what the 5 rules of murder mysteries.
You wrote this article that I read.
Right. I didn't remember that. Yeah. No. I don't remember what I said the 5 rules were, though.
Okay.
That was years ago.
5, like, always make the clues in plain sight. And
That's a great rule.
Yeah.
I wrote this. This is wonderful. This is great. Can we go over the rest of them? This is good. This is good advice.
They're really good. Hang on a second here. Oh my goodness me. This is all the fun. Hang on a second. Let's find out.
I'm sorry that I don't have
them. No, don't worry. First, this is what you wrote this article.
Yes.
The first lesson is make the clues obvious. All right.
It's a great piece of advice.
You talk about that. The second lesson doesn't seem to be. It seems to have disappeared. So the third, let's just fast forward to the third lesson. Know who did it from the start.
Right. A lot of people write mystery books and they think like, oh well, when I get to the end, I'll figure out who done it.
Yeah.
And that's not a good way to do it.
Yeah, and you say the sooner you know the ending, the better the mystery can be. That's what you said that as well.
That sounds. I really like this writer.
Okay. Good characters are better than good clues was another rule.
Ooh.
You came up with. I presume this is your article.
No, it for sure is. It for sure is. I wrote this around the time that the first Murdle came out.
Right.
And it is as if you were speaking to me from a different life.
Sorry.
No.
I apologize.
No, I love it so much. I think that when you asked what I was doing before Murdle, this is sort of
what you were
like
doing.
opening my mind to it a little bit.
Your 4th rule back then was write for your friends.
See, that is to me the key of Murdle because I made the very first one for a friend on a napkin and I texted him a picture of it.
Yeah.
And I truly think that had I not tried to procrastinate that day with the puzzle for a friend, that none of this would have happened.
Yeah. And then you say your 5th rule is before you ask your lawyer friend, is the guy you're referring
to.
Before you ask your lawyer friend for advice, ask what he charges.
Right. That's always good advice when you're talking to your lawyer friends.
Yeah. So apparently you say, you phone up your lawyer friend and you say, look, what do you think about this? Then that's fine. But if you want his advice, he charges because he's in lawyer mode.
You've got to be careful around it. You've got to be careful.
Is it also true that back in the day on stage, if one of the exes was getting something wrong, you'd make them drink alcohol?
Yeah, we used to do this show called the Sunday Night Mystery Show where the actors would perform a script that they'd never read, so nobody knew who done it.
Right.
You know, I thought that would give a more authentic experience. Oh, yeah, I knew, but no one else did.
Right.
But I learned very quickly that people can't perform a script that they've never read for their first time on stage without messing up.
Right.
So we came up with an idea that, well, when they mess up, we'll have the audience shout drink at them. And then they'll take a drink. That'll kill the time as they're trying to find, what page they're on.
And then as they became more and more inebriated, it was funnier for the rest of the cast because they could see that things were a little different over there.
Right. There's a situation that happens where the more you mess up, the more you mess up. So it builds on itself.
Yeah.
Sometimes, someone comes in a little tongue-tied, they leave.
And the audience loved it so much they wanted to be part of the gang. Is that right?
Yeah, we would recruit a lot of new performers from inebriated audience members.
This sounds punk to me. I love anything that's punk.
Yeah.
That sounds real fantastic punk live entertainment. Nobody really knows what's going on. The person who knows most is you, but even you don't know what's going to happen in the end. That's exciting.
Yeah, we had a great time doing it. Yeah.
All right, so that's not a bad stomping ground. They say in like the Navy SEALs, or we have the SAS over here, train hard, fight easy. This sounds like subliminal training hard for what we have in front of us now.
Oh, absolutely. I wrote so many of these whodunit scripts that were pretty silly. I mean, meant to be performed, inebriated. But doing it for years, every month, really kind of trained me in the ways of
the language.
Yeah, and writing a mystery and which characters are interesting and what people like and also what people can kind of understand. Because I think sometimes people think that audiences are going to figure out like, oh, you listed those 30 items. The 26th item was a clue. Nobody's going to remember that.
Yeah, and there's dilution of an idea, which can be fine. That doesn't mean it's bad. If you have some fruit juice and you dilute it, it means more people can drink it. It doesn't taste as strong. Maybe it's better. Maybe it's not so good. But it means more people can enjoy it. It becomes more general. Then you can distill things. You can go the other way. Both alcohol terms, aren't they? Dilution and distilling.
I'm understanding a theme here.
Yeah, and but you've gone the other way now. So you've distilled, a whole comprehensive 100% murder mysteries into 1, 2, 3 pages. I mean, that's revolutionary.
Yeah, well, it certainly is fun. I hope,
And did the compute? Where does the computer program come into this?
Well, the first puzzle that I made for my friend on the napkin was broken, didn't work, and he texted back, "I like this puzzle, but the only thing that's better than solving a friend's puzzle is showing them that they messed up and they were actually even better at them than puzzles." So he was very delighted to say that I had made a mistake. So I raced home from the coffee
critic,
shop.
Wasn't he?
Well, I don't know what that.
He's a critic.
Oh, right. Well,
because he didn't come up with it. He just criticized it.
Well, I'm maybe being a little too negative on it.
No, I think you're being overkind. Anyway, sorry, continue.
I raced home to create a computer program that would make a puzzle that I knew would be 100% accurate. And that took a day or so, actually.
Just tell me about that leap. So it's a creative leap to an algorithmic solution, and there's a binary bridge between the two. Is that about right?
Right. Well, I think that sometimes you make code, it really helps you understand the logic behind something.
Right.
Because you really have to think through all of the problems, all of the issues.
Oh, yes.
And then by making this, I was able to create a little program that could generate them over and over again. And that's what I was able to put online at Murdle.com.
Murdle.com, baby.
Where people can play one every day.
Yeah.
And then from that, because that was able to be created, my now agent reached out to me and said, I think I could sell this as a book.
Come over here, please.
Yeah. Well, I thought when, if someone calls you and says, oh, I think I can I'm going to sell a book for you.
Yeah.
I was very suspicious. I immediately Googled, is she a scam?
Yeah.
But she wasn't. It turned out.
And when was that?
Oh, gosh, I think this was like 2 years ago now.
Only 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So this is, the curtain's only just gone up on this whole story, really, hasn't it?
I am trying to live every moment as if this is the last, peak of it. And I just want to have as much fun and bring as much joy to people as I can.
And be here whilst it's going on.
Yeah, it's been great.
Yeah. How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
No, I'm 37.
37. Okay, that's a great age. 37 is my favorite ever age.
Well, see, that now makes me nervous because that means it's downhill.
Oh, no, it doesn't at all. I don't think it. I think 37 for me, I always say 30. I say my 30s was the most interesting decade because you can have sort of one foot in either camp. But I think from 37 onwards, it's sort of a signpost for where you might be heading and you might have an amazing time.
Well, this is great news then.
Yeah, no, it's good. How many more books do you think they could be? How long can this sustain? Because crosswords have been here forever. I love a crossword. I'm a cryptic crossword guy, which is like a little detective story, isn't it? It's not dissimilar. It has the same kind of sense.
Right. I think there's a huge connection between puzzles and mysteries in general. And I think that bringing them together kind of made sense in a way, We've tried to do it with other genres. We've been thinking about doing a romance version, Flirtle, but... But we can't quite figure out how to connect, love and puzzles.
What you've actually done is just come up with a play on the word Wordle,
the rest
Murdle,
of my life is
Flurdle.
coming up with words that rhyme now.
Yeah, we've had to go at that, haven't we? Because there's Heardle as well. I mean, some people jumped straight on that bus, didn't they?
Wordle, there's Wordle where you have to guess the country from its outline.
Yeah.
That's quite a good one. I used to do that with my
But
dad.
Wordle was the original, wasn't it?
Right,
Is that fair enough?
Yeah, which Josh Wordle made.
Have you met Mr. Wordle?
I have not. No, I have
That'd
not.
be a meeting of minds, wouldn't
You
it?
think so? Yeah.
When was the first? Was it the name for? Was it Murdle for? You can't say Murdle, Wordle, Murdle. I can do that.
No, it was. This whole thing happened when I was making the puzzle for a friend. It had some ridiculous title. It was Deductive Logico's Multifaceted Murder Mysteries. It went on and on and on.
Right.
And I had spent a couple months kind of refining it and working on it. And then everybody started making Wordle-like games, daily puzzles. And it occurred to me like, oh, I can make this a daily thing.
Yeah.
And that would be a great title. And then it sort of caught on.
Yeah, I mean, to do it on the daily, that's, I mean, something else, because it's like every one of your Murdles is like the sort of the brain farting or the mind mapping or the mood mapping of what could then become a bigger thing. But it's sort of in reverse, isn't it? Could you take each one of these Murdles and turn them into a full on like 2-hour production or a movie, or is there enough in there at the beginning of them?
It's interesting. I think that you could definitely be inspired by some of them. And I think that in the books, each one of the books has an overarching storyline that you go through where they uncover some deeper mystery behind them all. And I definitely think that it's a rich world, or at least I've tried to make it one.
It's amazing, man. And then you go to the back of the book, and there are all the solutions. But there's not only the solutions. This is. I mean, it's uber clever. It's clever, and it gets clever on top of clever. So there's the solutions at the back of the book to see if you're right or you're wrong. And then there's a little sort of an epilogue.
Right.
Like you would get at the end of a Columbo or something.
Sure,
like that.
yeah. I always loved those moments where the detective announces who did it and you see the culprit.
Yeah.
Instead of saying immediately, I would like, my legal representation, I will say nothing more on this matter. Of course, they always say, I would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for you meddling kids.
Yeah. Just turn to any solution 81. Holocide, murder on the holostage, deductive logico, and Inspector Aretino, who are, I know your regular characters, wandered onto the new and improved holostage. Amazing, isn't it, CEO Indigo said. We still don't have the holograms functioning, but we fixed that pesky problem about the actors getting murdered. We have them sign in a release not to sue, and it's a good thing they did, because another one of them had just been dun dun dun. Amazing.
Thank you so much for that reading. I loved that.
No, it's terrible. I messed it up. I apologize.
Well, that's from, at the end of the book, they go to like a sort of a satire of tech utopias and AI. So one of the things that I love about writing them is I kind of can focus on whatever I want for each book. So that each one kind of sends up a different world at the end. And that one is the world of tech and AI. And
we mentioned Columbo.
Who I love.
And you've always cited Columbo as not only your favorite detective, America's favorite TV detective. Do you think that's about right?
Well, this is an interesting thing because I may have said that. I don't know that that's fully really true. I think that Columbo is more popular over here than he is in America.
Yeah.
And I've been talking to people about that, and someone said, they gave me a theory that I think is right, which is that, he kind of is how other people might view America in a sense, or he's a kindly caricature of an American. He's disheveled. He's
a avuncular.
Yeah,
he's
right.
quietly clever.
Right, and I think Americans maybe are like, well, that's not the person that should be representing us on the world stage.
I know, it's true though, isn't it? But you are right, because it's not what any of us are. It's our own story of who we are, and then it's everybody's interpretation of our story of who we are, our representation of who we are, which is in fact their story of who they are.
Right. I think.
No, Columbo was amazing, but also Columbo had a bit of Murdle about him, and Murdle has a bit of Columbo about it. Because the punk thing about Columbo was it started with who did it.
Right.
It wasn't a who done it. It was a here's who did it. How did they do it? It was a how done it.
Right. Well, sort of how is Columbo going to catch him, I would say. Yeah. I think it's the people's detective show because all of the other detectives, they sort of are better than you. And then at the end, they sort of lord how superior they are over you. But on Columbo, you're right there. You're ahead of him.
Who else is up there for you? Give us your top three. So Columbo on the telly. In literature, Agatha Christie, got to be?
Right.
Would you say so?
Well, Agatha Christie, definitely. And I read a ton of her books under the the pandemic lockdowns.
did you?
And that sort of seeped into me. But also, I think one of the great detectives of all time, Scooby-Doo. I hope that's okay to say.
It's more than okay to say. Anything you say is okay to say here, as long as you don't swear.
That's what they told me. That's what they told me.
Yeah, but I mean, as long as I apologise for things, it's usually okay. I'm happy to apologise for most people that come on the show. Scooby-Doo, absolutely 100%. What do you think of Scrappy-Doo? I didn't like Scrappy-Doo pitching up.
It's interesting because I think that I learned that Scrappy-Doo was bad as a child, and I was like, I like Scrappy-Doo as like, a 7-year-old, and they're like, no, nobody likes Scrappy-Doo, and I was, but yeah,
I thought it was the other way around. I thought the older generation did like Scrappy-Doo.
Well,
Scrappy-Doo was brought in to get the kids in because Scooby-Doo was a bit of an old fogey at the time.
Right, I'm saying I was a child when I heard that you're not supposed to like Scrappy-Doo.
Because you are a child.
Now, and I don't like Scrappy-Doo. Also, okay, here's the thing. Let me get into some Scooby-Doo lore. When Scrappy-Doo is present in a story, it means that the ghosts are going to be real.
Yeah.
And the ghost should not be real on Scooby-Doo.
Is that a rule? Is that an unofficial rule?
It's not always the case, but when he was brought in, it was part of this, let's appeal to the children. I'm really going off now. And it was, there'd be a real monster that Scrappy would try to fight. And it's ridiculous to not expose the ghost to just be some old man running a real estate scam.
Yeah, expose the ghost. Expose the ghost. Your world now, doing this every day. I can't believe this is all post-COVID. It's so crazy, isn't it?
It's hard for me to wrap my head around.
This wasn't in existence in lockdown.
You read a thing that I wrote a year ago, and I'm like, that's from a whole other life.
Fair enough.
No, it's unbelievable to me that so much has happened in such a short amount of time.
Well, because time is nothing. Time is an arrow. Time is a direction. It's not really, if you're measuring your life by the ruler of time, you're not living it usually.
Sure, we all have days that feel like they, last forever. And
yeah, because I think the show thinks life is best lived vertically. Okay. And measured if it has to be, okay, horizontally, but if it has to be.
Sure. So you mean live in each moment to the fullest?
Because it's there's the depth, isn't it? There's the amplitude of life. There's the highs and the lows, the peaks and the troughs. The sadness and the joy, the tears and the laughter, the day and the night.
Right.
That's where we are.
Right.
Yeah.
I love with the mystery, I think there's a lot of this sort of reevaluation of what you take to be commonplace. You see some story, some scene is presented, you think you understand it, and later on you learn that you didn't really understand it at all. And I feel like it's a great sort of lesson. Mysteries teach us that, maybe things aren't as they seem. Maybe we could, and also not only are maybe things not as we seem, but maybe we could figure out how things really are if we applied ourselves.
Or if we had a time machine or a crystal ball that actually worked, because life can only be lived forwards, but can only be understood in reverse.
Yeah, that's something that Iratino would say, I think.
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing about murder mysteries, isn't it? Because you create them for us, like life has been created for us. We get involved in them. You usually have to solve them for us, or a very clever detective has to solve them for us. And once they've solved them, we look back and go, oh, that's how it happened. And that's life. Maybe that's why we're so obsessed with murder mysteries.
It seems so obvious in retrospect, but was so baffling at the time.
What do you think's going to happen now? If this was the Olympics, this is at most the 400 meters. You still got the 800 meters, the 1500 meters, the 5,000, the 10,000, the marathon to go. Who knows where this is going to go? What do you think's going to happen?
Well, all I know right now is the things that we already have in place. Right. So I've just written a children's version of it, Murdle Jr. Finally, murder for children. That's the pitch. I want everyone to hear that.
Well, there's therapy for kids now so much.
Yeah, well, maybe they'll need it.
So
I don't know.
Bring in the murder. And how does that? Is it a picture book or?
It's mostly the same, but the puzzles are a little simpler and they're presented in a more, there's not so much information on every page. And also, there's fewer murders. Yeah, I said the murder for children, but there's not going to be a murder every page. Don't worry.
Okay, I think I might dip my toe into the Murdle Junior world. And how many more of these could you produce?
Well, there's at least going to be 3 more of the adult line Murdles.
We're talking 6 then.
Yeah, at least. Because the next one's coming out this fall.
Okay, and as an industry, what is it like? Because, you look at, is it Patterson. Is it Robert Patterson? Doesn't he have other people writing his books for him?
It's like Robert M. Patterson with
Yeah,
whoever.
and Damien Hirst with his paintings. He has a factory, and other people make the stuff now. Is it scalable like that? Is that what's
Well, there are going to be some great writers helping me with. They're going to do children's novels to go along with the children's Murdle, and I'm not a children's novelist, so I'm going to have help with that.
And will there be Murdle Land? Can we go to Murdle Land?
Do you think you would want to? Because I could
I'm
see.
happy to go to Murdle Land.
Okay, great. Yeah, you could solve a mystery there in the amusement park.
Well, that's where you square the circle, because that's what mass immersive Murdle experiences.
Right. Okay. If any theme park investors and designers
gotta
are
happen,
listening
doesn't
to
it?
this, I really hope that they reach out to
Peppa
me.
Pig is now like a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Wow, you're really hyping me up here. I love this.
Well, you're the man. You're the man.
Could be the new Peppa Pig.
Right. What does the rest of your trip have in store for you here before you go back home?
We are going on a different place every night for the next 4 days.
And what do you do on those nights?
Well, I do these live Murdles. I do a sort of different than the. Don't worry, people aren't forced to drink at these. They're welcome to, right? But they won't be shouted at to do it. We do sort of a live. We have audience, but we have volunteers play the suspects, and people solve a Murdle that took place right where they are.
It's funny, isn't it? Just the fact it's called a Murdle softens it so much.
Right, it makes it seem a lot easier. Yeah. It's family friendly.
Can you be a mass murderer?
Oh, see, now we're getting it.
You got to be careful.
That sounds dark. I don't know.
All right, you're a big fan. You can do these, can't you?
I loved it. I mean, the first one, I just opened the book and I thought I'll just do this one. And it was number 18. In space, no one can hear you. Scheme. Already I'm in because that's good.
I'm glad that you like that.
And it trapped on board a rocket in space with a confessed murderer and the other 2 members of the crew. Detective Logico didn't think things could get any worse. But then the shuttle janitor was murdered. Did Captain Slate kill again?
There has to be a murder.
Yeah, or were there 2 murderers on board?
You can't have a murderless Murdle.
You see, that's sort of the problem. I tried to outline the first book, and they'll go to this place, they'll find these clues, and then I realized, well, it has to be told in a succession of one murder every place. So he can't go get a cup of coffee. Yeah. Also, the barista has to be killed. I also, I saw that the shuttle
Basically,
janitor.
If you're in the first paragraph, you're dead.
Yeah, you don't want to have not a name, just have a job in the opening paragraph of a Murdle. That means you're probably not going to make it to the next one.
Great to meet you, man. What a brain.
Oh, please. Thank you so much
Seriously.
for having me.
This is the 3rd book, at least 3 more on the way. The Murdle series, another 100 cunningly clever murder, mystery, logic, puzzles. Boom.
Virgin Radio.